you know, another part of it is who is going to be the most convincing in this game, because that is all a part of it. And at the moment, the game is slowly starting. There's just a small break due to some technical issues.
Yes.
But everyone has got on the Rift right now.
Because I think an important thing with things such as Riz is proving yourself. And this is a game where both teams have to prove themselves to make it.
They need the confidence. You can't have Riz without confidence.
As we're getting into the game right now, it's really important to see which team is able to step up in this most important game of the day.
Exactly. Undeniably true. And, you know, whoever has that most confidence, whoever proves themselves with the most Riz on the Rift, is going to succeed this game.
We're currently having the spectator freeze bug, which should be resolved very shortly. But as we all know, with Mariah, not necessarily that easy.
You know, we love Riot. The small indie game company is honestly doing a lot for its
doing
fans.
So much for their game, not a lot for their staff, but that's how it is.
We love
I shouldn't say that.
We love them. Back to the Rift. It started, and it looks like Kings are going for an early level 1 in the bot lane.
They're hiding in the bush. This really could, or not. No, they're not.
The level 1 is quite smart here. They do lose a lot of early jungle vision by going for this ward, but I can't stress enough how effective it is going for something like this. As we see, they'll be able to get some nice 2v2 opportunities in the bot lane. Although I don't think that will be an opportunity anyway.
Yes, and as we can see, we have randomness is on Jinx again, the champion which he was able to take over the game with against Brunel's. So it will be really interesting to see if he's able to have the same impact again.
I also quite like the choice of Ghost here on Jinx, you know, really doubling down on the carry. Also the Ghost with Chinese person, Victor Ghost is another really good summoner. I'm glad to see more people are taking it, because whilst, you know, TP is great, really gives the early lane pressure, it doesn't scale as well as Ghost does in these team fights. So they're not going to be going for the side lane pressure other than Jax, so maybe some 1-for-1 compositions with Kings, but you know, I think overall good summoner choices, and the laning phase has started. Some early trades in the mid lane with Chinese person and Pickle, and Legend RX and Beg For You are just beginning to start their trades, managing to land the stun here. You know, small achievements will get you very far in the top lane.
And Jax is already showing the strength of the champion early, and it's a matchup that just gets harder and harder and harder. Jax can match Camille at every stage of the game, so this might not be looking good if the lane continues to go like this.
Absolutely, but it is not needless to say that Camille has so much good setup here, right? Even though Diana is a little bit weaker to buy in terms of how much CC they can provide in the laning phase, Camille makes up for it, you know, and her dash, her ult are all really good contenders. Will Jax be able to 1v2? We're just going to have to find out.
And I think another thing that earlier I said I felt like Oxford's comp only had one thing, just go in and engage. But now I'm looking at again, and I disagree. I always say that. I think with Sivir, Karma, Orianna, they can also play kiting backwards, keeping people at bay. So even if things don't work with this Camille Diana dive, it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely. And just misses the pounce there on Camille. Possibly would have made a really nice trade, but Jax takes quite a bit of damage there anyway, so they go quite even. But Jax is able to push the tower in. Oh, we're seeing a lot of trades.
He's able to recall as the wave is pushing back in.
Absolutely.
Which is really good. Saves the TP, and he has the gold lead.
Yeah, Chinese person getting a lot of pressure here, but running out of mana fast.
Yes, and actually completely out of mana, and with Orianna, a champion where her clock wind up passive really does help her. But we're going to have to wait and see how this is going. The TS is even in almost all lanes.
Yeah, I've seen so many Dopa games where he's been on the Victor into Orianna. I've seen so many Faker games where he's been on the Orianna to Victor. We're just going to have to see who is the better LCK watcher here and see how it plays out.
As an LCK enthusiast, I am very excited about this game.
Absolutely. I really like the compositions from both sides, and we're seeing some really nice trades here. Beg For You is going to have to... is trying to bait here for going to Boynton, yeah. And Yeah, not able to land anything. I don't think they're going to be landing the dive here, but the shove is really nice.
Yeah, Bontantha is really able to not really do much. He has got the 3S lead on Durkee and Levi, which enables him to look for these sort of ganks, but maybe not the optimal use of your time.
Absolutely. Chinese person is taking quite a few trades here. It seems Activated Pickle was able to get the back off and TP back in, which is really meaning Chinese person is forced to collect the farm here with nearly no mana.
Now, if a Chinese person is able to collect most of the farm without using the abilities, they will have a solid maybe one wave and a bit CS lead. But as you can see, Pickle's really pushing that pressure on them.
Absolutely, and with this pressure, it means they're going to be able to go for the early Drake, the early Herald. Potentially, Chinese person will be able to find the back in time for that, but not the Lost Chapter to be able to win this war of attrition currently going on in the mid lane.
And one thing I would have maybe potentially liked to have seen from either of these mid laners is potentially going Futures Market and Sapphire Crystal to really go for the really early Lost Chapter rush, but that's not what we're going to get this game.
Absolutely, I'm actually a really big fan of the Lost Chapter rush. I think it's so good, especially when you're playing these war of attrition matchups. Would it be too impactful?
We have a gank from Boyton onto, and he does land the Moonlight and the Q on Banner, but because the dash is flashed away from him, does not get the reset.
Absolutely, really unfortunate to see, but the flash is always really impactful in these lanes, and securing it means there's always a chance of a dive. And Boynton is going back in, sees Derpy is in the mid lane, and does not want a piece of action on that. So
yeah, Chinese person stays for CS and gets punished.
Oh, we're seeing the Ignite go off, but unfortunately
so well timed by Becky for gank.
Yeah, she does not have the 6 to follow up, which is really unfortunate to see, and the wave advantage was just a little too much, unfortunately suffering from the minion block.
Yes, it is important to note that Becky for gank opted for the teleport Ignite instead of the flash teleport, which Legend has opted for. So this could potentially mean that Jax has a bit more flexibility in approaching these fights, following up and providing for the team.
Absolutely, I mean Derpy will be starting to get the first Drake here. Agilio is aware of the situation and has landed a bit of leash damage for the red side, and yeah, Kings are able to get the first. Thank you for gank, is able to get the shield just in time.
So close.
Heal a little bit, but is forced out of the lane. Has the TP to come back, thankfully, for Camille, but it's just very dangerous.
Considering that Legend has used his TP as Jax, that will even out the TPs, but Beg You for Gank's TP will come back off cooldown a bit later.
Absolutely, and as we're seeing one of Jax's drippier skins in action, it's just a really hard matchup for Camille, but fortunately she's able to maintain the CS advantage. One thing to note is Orianna was 20 CS behind at one point, or approximately, and the fact that mana advantage meant she was able to come back only 4 CS behind. But we're seeing a fight now from Legend RX.
Is not able to use the position.
But Boynton is able to follow up here, able to potentially land the kill. Oh, he's just able to dash out, but the flash is just enough for Boynton to be able to get the first blood of the game. And we're seeing another fight here. Gilia is able to land the root on random, and it's really nice damage here from Civet, and Gilia is just able to land the Q in order to get the kill.
This is something we were talking about earlier. Randomness and Shirotama are playing the exact same matchup they played earlier in the day, the Jinx Lulu, but this time they don't have the advantage.
Absolutely.
They're actually on the back foot.
Yeah, this, as I said, really nice early game with the Karma hit. Really able to provide a lot of pressure that Lulu would usually, but is just outmatched by the draft hit. But that is always fine because they can play for the later game.
You have the Ghost being used by Chinese person, does not have flash, and the follow-up is not enough, unfortunately, but that was very close.
Absolutely, really close kill there. I don't think he even had flash in that fight, but was still able to get out thanks to the beautiful stun bubble that is Victor W. And yeah.
Yes, it is important to note that Chinese person does have a 10 CS lead, but being forced to recall and Activated Pickle being here with the push, he might be losing some. It is a cannon wave though, so shouldn't be losing as much.
Absolutely. I really find it interesting how a Chinese person is able to land such a nice CS lead, but when he loses that mana, the attrition of Pickle on the Orianna is really showing that she's able to catch up as a champion. I think is really interesting, and I hope we see how Orianna is able to catch up.
Yes, and we see that Chinese person has opted for the Dark Seal, whereas Pico has opted for the Tear of the Goddess. And we see Tear on both Sivir and Orianna, so this could be potentially a more late game focused team, but a late game focused plan for Oxford.
Absolutely, and Drake will not be coming up too soon as it's already been slain, but the 2-kill advantage in favour of Oxford is actually quite significant.
Oh my god, is that a cull on Jax? We really do see both teams sort of prioritising later on in the game. I feel that's very respectful of them both, and it's important for such an important game.
I mean, it makes sense on the 2-kill deficit, right, that they're currently experiencing. Both of these laners that have taken cull have experienced a death in their lanes. I don't think it's too much of a problem. The cull will recover that the kill gold that they have received, but it's just a really good thing to note. These lanes are really focusing on scaling.
Exactly, and one thing I would like to point out is the last time Kings was losing early-ish game against Brunels, the gold still wasn't that big, but this time the lead is bigger than it was with fewer kills, so it shows that Oxford is able to keep their leads when they have them.
Absolutely, and what we're seeing here is Legend RX going in again, getting the stun, but not really following it up. And Chinese person is
another guy from Chinese person.
Absolutely.
This time that we don't have. Pickle does not make the same mistake, does not walk to the bubble, does not get stunned.
Derpy is following up, lands the Vial. Unfortunately, the Jinx ult doesn't land, but it's enough for Derpy to be able to get the kill. And Boynton is in a dangerous situation, but goes back in. There is no fear, but Derpy is just going to walk under tower here and trade 1-for-1. Randomness is going in.
After Latraz with no mana, which I think is quite questionable if Latraz decides to fight, but no, it all seems to work out eventually.
Absolutely. I mean, the minion advantage is really nice for Latez, but the fact Lulu was there kind of negated it just a little bit. Agilia is, just showing the impact of Karma in the early laning phase, right?
With the shove they have, they're really going to rely a lot of CS from Randomness right now. And look, we can even see it's almost going to be a 20 kill. Unless they stay, it's going to be a 20 CS gold lead in bot lane.
And, Diane is resetting. If she was in the bot side right now, this would be a really good angle to get a dive on. Jinx with no mana. Shiratama only barely able to afford ult.
And ultimate, yes.
Yeah, but, the Vi was there to follow up, so it's not too deep. But this is just going to keep pushing.
Is stopping the recalls. Oh, this is so big for Oxford right now. They really are pushing that early pressure.
Absolutely. It's a really tough lane for Randomness to be able to get that farm. Hopefully Derpy is able to find some follow-up here.
And you are correct. We do have the Black Cleaver being bought by Derpy and the Fire. Someone who does not fall into the pitfall. This is really good to see.
And we're just seeing, some people doing their research about the builds and everything. I think is really good. And it just shows whilst Vi is an early game laner, Vi is going for that late game build, which just shows once again we're looking for the 25-minute mark here on the side of Kings.
And one thing I love is the proto belt from Diana, because I really feel items like Night Harvester are such a bait and should never be bought. But proto belt, you can help your team, and we have the Dash in and Rift Herald from Derpy, so they're looking to pressure the thing. But
absolutely, we're seeing the 2v2 skirmish.
Get much from it, unfortunately.
I don't know if this was a mistake or not, but they're going for the 2v2 skirmish here. Rift Herald is going to get the charge off potentially. Just cancelled.
Perfectly timed.
Very well played. Legend RX going in, misses the stun. This is looking very difficult for both sides. Oh,
such a good ultimate from
both sides.
Yeah, exactly. They're able to ignite each other's desires with their tools.
Exactly. Very well played.
Just right there.
Again, I really like the way Jax has been changed in his mini update. You have to land the ult in order for it to go off, and he goes in. Bakeyu is going back in and just lands the grass water.
Predicts that Legend RX could be in the version outplays the situation.
Very well played, and that is the first kill for Camille. This is a Jax favoured matchup, and she has just shown the first solo kill of the lane. Very impressive, I have to say, but it was just a slight overextension.
And we're talking about favoured, and we said that this draft and game isn't necessarily Diana favoured. One team's really been proving us wrong, and we're getting gank after gank after gank by Chinese person, converting this into dragons. And I might be forced to eat my words here.
Yeah, I agree. It's I really like the comp of Kings, but it's showing some struggle right now. But 3 kills doesn't mean the end of the game,
It does
right?
not, especially with Victor, Jinx, such powerful late game champions, which really deny what the team of Oxford want to do.
Absolutely, and you know, Jax is just, you know, he's got all his components for Divine Sunderer. He just needs to finish the build, and he will be on par with Camille. I think there is an opportunity for Jax to, you know, contend with Camille later on into the game, but we're seeing a route here from, yeah, actually.
It does look like Derpy and Chinese person are roaming down, but it's been seen. We have the vision that's so vital in these sort of games.
Absolutely. I mean, again, if Jinx is able to just get some fish bones.
Moision's in the bush, and I don't think the bot lane of Kings are aware they could potentially. Oh, the gank! This could be perfect.
Yeah, it's all planned here.
And he goes. He gets the double.
Absolutely able to get on the backline here. Randomir is able to fall to the double kill of Sivir. Is that going to be a triple from the Sivir? Yes, it is.
Goodness, that is so well played from Oxford. They read them like a book and feed all 3 kills to the main carry their team.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, Veku gets stunned by the Jaxi. But we're seeing some really heavy trades here. Not going to follow up into an extended fight, but yeah, there is some lane pressure being shown here from both sides. And Legend is under some pressure, really up low HP, but so is Begu. What is that damage?
This shows Divine Sunderer is such a good item when the champion can really use it. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, both of these champs are duelists, right? They're both going for the side lane pressure, and you know, all it takes is a couple of Divine Sunderer procs from both of them to go from full HP to the.
I still want to go back into that bot lane fight because it's so nice to see how Oxford just saw it coming, and now they've all rotated to
Derpy is caught out, but he manages to just fly away with his fist. And potentially we're seeing a retake here from the side of Kings.
Yes.
You know, the vision control has been set up. Some really nice roaming from Shiro, but so is Agilio here. So I think it's just going to be a blue favoured Rift. Yep, yes. They're able to secure it.
It is nice to mention that after that fight in bot lane, almost all members of both teams did have to use their summoners. We have a flash on Agilia and on Pickle, but apart from that and Chinese person's summoner spells, that's it. And this really does mean we have to have a lot more cleaner execution from both teams coming forwards.
Yeah, and this is starting to look quite scary actually. You know, 3 kills on Sivir, 2 on Diana. Both of what I would consider as the carries of the team, right, are in a really advantageous position, and Pickle is also in a really nice position.
And I agree, and I think the last time we saw Randomness and Shintaza on Lulu, they were against very heavy engagement, but they were always able to avoid those engages. But we have seen this game, Ornstein has been able to get the Diana engages on them, so this could potentially be an issue for them going forwards.
Absolutely, and I think it's very interesting there. You know, that shockwave went off in the mid lane, but we're seeing a fight here. Vi gets, Derpy goes for the Vial and lands the stun, but unfortunately it's just not enough, and Boynton manages to just miss.
Yes, Chinese person does use the Ghost this game and could potentially be looking for a chase, but this could backfire, we're not wholly sure. And no Bacteria goes for Ganthet, doesn't get the stun. Oh no, they don't go out alive. The laser by Victor just manages to tag them before they escape.
Yeah, honestly, Kings are currently looking for that degree in Rizology, as mentioned in chat. It's looking quite difficult for a Chinese person to get the confidence here. But it steps up quite confidently actually. Boynton taking some heavy trades, but able to back out and disengage nicely.
This is a very close game, and as we can see, there is still potential for Kings to fight back. They were able to get the kill, trade it 1-for-1, and crash it with their victory.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Camille goes down here, and I think that's not going to be a huge shutdown for the side of Kings, but it's definitely a good start. But again, it was just traded for another kill on the Diana, which is really going to be a big struggle. Also, it's nice Legend RX is going to be able to crash this wave in the top lane. Yes. But other than that, we're just waiting for the 25-minute mark.
Yes, Legend RX does look like they're going to be able to get the first turret, which is very good, especially when you funnel all the gold into one member. I just feel like Jax isn't the member necessarily have to hold on.
Derpy is really stepping up here, getting a bit feisty with the fists. They really want to get some contention on here for the Drake fight. Is Derpy going to be able to land a steal? He's stepping up here. He really wants to land it, but the shockwave cancels it, and the smite goes off. Beggy is starting to step up here.
Oh,
Tries to land the ult, still lands the ult. I don't know what that interaction is. But the three-man Diana ult, as she stopwatches just in time.
I really do think they
and Jinx lands the reset here. Agilio is trying to land some peel here, but Legendar X is thirsty for a kill. But it's not going to be enough.
And we can see here the benefits of Sivir Karma is the movement speed. You're able to say, we're out. And they do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's just going to be a nice Drake steal here from the side of Brunel's, but you know there was some nice follow-up here from Kings.
Yes, I think it is good that Oxford were able to secure the Drake, but they did end up sacrificing one of their team members, and it was a shutdown, so there are benefits for the other team.
Absolutely. And with that Jinx kill, it's going to be quite a big game difference. You know, the shutdown is huge. It's going to be able to potentially get her to a second item if she just gets that little more gold. And you know, it's still anyone's game to play for. Both of these teams really want to get the column 2 spot. Although I know they don't want to play against the College of Esports, but you know, they have to play against a difficult team either way. So either way, they want to get into the next part of the tournament, and both teams are giving a really good showing here.
Exactly. I think an important thing to note is that each of the groups have 2 Seed 1 and Seed 2 teams, and as the winner of this game is going to be the first seed for their group potentially, it does mean that they could be against Serask, and Imperial.
Absolutely, and Derpy is getting caught here, but is it going to be enough? He's able to flash out, and Begu barely misses the E, which would have cancelled it. But yeah, really nice disengage there from Derpy, but the Rift does crash in the bot lane.
Yeah, Shelly is able to help them get that kill, but Chancellor is able to get the kill on the Herald, which is getting some gold back.
Absolutely.
Because one thing a lot of people don't realise is that Herald gives quite a bit of gold and experience when killed. So if you're not getting a turret with it, it's not always very worth it.
Yeah, the XP is always really nice to see, especially in the top lane, but it seems both sides are very equal right now. Boynton does get spotted by the Vision, but is able to clear it, and it looks like they may be trying to set up for Baron, but they don't spot the ward in the back of the pit. That or they're trying to bait it.
And now that we have a bit of a lull in the game, I think it's important that we look at the scoreboard and see where we're at, because in bot lane we have 3 kills to 1, and we have a big 30 CS gold lead.
Yeah, I think the gold lead is quite big, but in like the big picture of it, it's a 2k gold lead.
Yes.
Whilst it is a really good advantage, it's not enough to say who's winning this game, right?
I agree.
I think Shurotama, if he lands the big Lulu ult, is able to peel off this Jinx. Randomness has shown that his Jinx is a powerhouse when ahead.
I agree, and if Shurotama is able to buffer the polymorph onto Boynton so that he instantly gets polymorph the second he dashes in, that could cause the entire Diana engaged game plan to fall apart.
Absolutely, and you know the Radiant Virtue is starting to emerge from Derpy here.
I'm so excited to see that item.
Absolutely,
I understand.
But it is a very good item for the team fights, and it's what they need. I think it'll be a really good stat boost, and maybe they'll start performing. But Baekyu is going to try and prevent that early. The ult is landed on Chinese person. He's very low. The Orianna goes off, and Pico is able to secure the kill. Derpy is trying to fist his way out, but it's just able to actually.
Legend is teleporting in on the Jax, but isn't able to get much. Although it seems that they're stuck.
And the quadruple stun there with the Lulu burst. Derpy is going in, lands the kill just in time, and another stun goes off.
Able to get the reset, and or they clean up. That is so good from the side of Kings. It's like what we said again. All it needs is one fight, and they can clean up.
What a turnaround! And there wasn't even a Radiant Virtue to follow with it. Absolutely insane play by Legendary.
I do want to say that is a 1-for-4, but in the mid lane, Sivir is able to get a turret, they're able to get wave, and able to get value, and she's the most important member of her team.
Absolutely, and she's stepping up here.
I able to step up. I really do think Sivir should be pushing and getting the mid turret instead of doing this.
Does she really want to be trying to risk it all? I mean, Legendary X is really
they could get the steal.
They're both they're starting to get really low right now.
Oh my goodness, they're doing the fight.
Lattes is going for it. He's able to secure one. Are they able to secure the Baron? Just about. Oh my god.
If that had worked out, it really could have changed the game around. That was very close from the the ADC.
ADC's for ADC, but that is a shutdown on the side of Kings.
I think that really benefits Kings, honestly.
Absolutely, without doubt, that is such a huge turnaround for Kings. Just the past 5 minutes has been a fever dream of plays on the side of Kings, and the Diana ult goes off, but is only able to be landed on Derpy. Derpy is able to just CC out of it, but we're seeing a lot of focus.
Still not dead.
Absolutely, Legendary Rex getting the stun off, very nice, able to get the first pick off of the match. The Lulu ult is very nice. Chinese person getting the second kill of the fight, and Derpy is just able to survive.
That is insane. That's so good for Kings, and the goal just completely flipped. They're 1k in the lead.
Oh, Derpy is really playing with fire there. Being just what 200 HP into that Inferno.
And one thing I wanted to mention before that fight was that Sivir opted into the Navori Quickblade second item, which is a very power spike heavy build, whereas Randomness opted into Rapid Fire Cannon. And yet that power spike hit really seemed to translate into that fight.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the Radiant Virtue. I don't want to keep bigging this. I'll do it for you. Don't worry. I might start getting bored of talking about it, but it just provided such a difference. He was able to survive for so much longer because of the ult, and that is what made the difference. Because if Kings were able to kill Vi just a little bit faster, they may have had an angle to get the follow up on Jax, the follow up on Jinx.
I have been forced to eat my words because Jax does seem to be in the lead now, and Camille has a CS deficit and a kill deficit in the advantageous matchup.
I mean, it's completely understandable. It's a really hard matchup for Camille. The laning phase was executed really well, but the quadruple stun from earlier in the top lane was just such an impact maker. And as Camille, you can't do something like that.
No, you cannot. And it really was the defining moment that turned this game around.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But again, it's the 2k gold lead. It's still anyone's game at the end of the day. I believe Oxford is still able to flip this, but if they don't, it's back to burger flipping.
I have a few... Oh, yes, exactly. And one thing I find very interesting, I approve, is that both supports have opted into the Shirley's Revelry this game, which is very good for kiting and staying away from the enemy. Shirley's Battlesong, actually, sorry about that. But it seems like Shiratama and the Lulu is going for the Mikhails, which is interesting because Mikhails doesn't work against any of the CC on the team comp of Oxford, apart from maybe the Karma route. Maybe they're just getting it for the stats.
I'm just a little disappointed that I'm not seeing a Karma Radiant Virtue, but it's completely understandable as Boynton is going for Legend X. It's a 1v3 here, but Legendary X is putting up a fight. It's trying to anyway. And we're seeing potentially one kill, but the Zhonya's goes off. Is it able to... The Lulu shield is really nice, or the Karma shield even. And, oh my god, Pickle is just able to get the kill. But 1v3, Legendary X was able to put up such a fight. It was, if he's able to get that Wits End just a little bit faster, I think he would have got at least one kill.
I agree, and this is something we've seen in this fight and the last fight, that even though Boynton does damage, it's only enough to put the enemies at half HP, and he's very squishy compared to this Vi. So, until Diana gets more items, we could potentially get a few issues in the mid game, which is why Diana technically struggles.
Yeah, well, thankfully the mid game is starting to move on to the late game now, as we're 3 minutes away from the 30-minute mark, and that's where the big plays are going to start coming out.
One thing I am loving to see is this Lord Dominic's Regard on Sivir. I think it's such a good item that often gets criminally underpurchased and really helps you punch through the Frozen Heart and the Vi.
I couldn't agree more, especially with Rapid Fire Cannon. I think it's such an overrated item.
Yes.
I understand the use of it as Jinx, but there are better items.
I'm very glad to not see Collector. If I see that item, I'm going to flame them. Flame everything. You shouldn't buy that item. And yeah, so this is a very interesting game. I do think that it's the closest game of the night, and it's also the most important game of the night.
Absolutely.
And I think both teams have the potential to really drag the game out. We have Sivir, we have Victor. We could get a 60-minute Junior Green special.
Absolutely, it's definitely the most important game for the what is predicted to be the two biggest teams of the night. You know, the underdogs have shown really good performances so far, but these two teams are showing a spectacle of a game at the moment as it's slowly moving to the 30-minute mark. What are we going to see in this 30-minute mark? We're going to be starting to see the big Baron fights. 2 more Drakes away for each team to get Soul. And after Sol, we may be seeing potentially Elder at the 40 minutes if they play it that far.
And I think it's very interesting that you're talking about Sol, because this game it's Infernal Sol, which really opens the map up. And we see Victor, we see Diana, we see Orianna. These are champions which like to play around zones and AoE fights, but the map is more open. It's going to be harder for both teams to do that.
Absolutely. And another thing to mention is Infernal is just disgusting on Jinx
on both teams.
Exactly. You know, the Infernal on Sivir is really easy to execute. Diana's able to get poke. Orianna's able to get poke.
Death Bush in mid lane.
Yeah, Derpy is stepping up
But it's
here.
Derpy. I feel Derpy is the person who could face check, but they don't know they're there. There's no vision.
Oh, Randomness. What is he doing?
But they don't know Randomness is there. All it takes is a ward over the wall.
All it takes is one Jinx W. That's all he has to do.
Derpy.
Oh, they're stepping up Derpy and
Randomness, they're using the Sivir, they're using the combat, and
the Shirelius goes off the TP, is being followed up, but they're too fast. The flash is a really nice response, but Agila is able to get the root down. The Zhonya's goes off. Is Legend able to get the stun? He's not, and Diana goes in, sweeps the kill on Jinx, is able to get the Zhonya's. It is such a fiesta of a match, but Latras gets one on Vi. It's followed up by a Victor kill on the Orianna. Legend RX able to swoop the kill onto a Sivir.
Yeah, I don't think Becky Fragant should be running away, but that was really interesting. That was a very interesting fight. I wish we could do a replay.
Absolutely.
As we can see, they do seem to initially be getting the pick onto Randomness, but Randomness manages to escape. We really see the ghost that you mentioned earlier really came in clutch. Managed to flash over the wall, buy time for his teammates to get there, and the flash follow from Agilios a bit late with the root.
Absolutely an MVP play from Randomness. Such a nice follow-up from Legend RX again. Once again, this guy has eyes all over the map.
But
and
here we have Becky Fragant the Dragon, which I really like.
I think it's a really good response. Even though they lost that fight, they still got the macro pressure from it. You know, forcing Kings to go to the top side of the map. I don't think he's going to be able to take the Drake fast enough, though.
One thing I do say is that Baron and Dragon spawned at the same time, and I would have liked to see Oxford go for the Baron instead and force a trade.
I think so. I think it would have been good, but you know, Kings won that fight. They were on it, but I don't think they had enough HP. So I think it's a fair call. But what does this mean for Kings? They're a kill down, but they're a Drake up. You know, this is really big for them. All they need is one more for the Soul, and I think the Soul is a deciding factor of the
Oxford,
game.
they don't go and get Baron vision when Kings is that Dragon, and now Kings gets to Baron and Dragon first. This isn't looking very good for Oxford.
Absolutely, but it's not to say they're out of the game just
Not
yet.
at all.
They have they're only 2k gold behind. You know, they're still you know, hanging on to the ropes quite nicely, but Legend RX is trying to throw them off.
But is able to survive using the Mantra W, but once he dies instantly in the mid lane,
Randomness,
that's so huge for the team fight.
And then Latras is able to get the uncontested kill on Vi there.
They're going to chase afterwards. Sivir Karma is getting enabled. Oh my goodness.
Orianna able to get one. Fegu able to get one. A Chinese person on the ropes right now.
Teleport to top lane from Fegu. This is so huge. Are they going to go for the end or are they going to go for the Baron?
We're seeing right now Camille is pushing the top side of the map. Really big play right there. But it's they're able to secure Baron, most definitely.
And I feel like here we're seeing the weaknesses of, because in the past few fights we've been seeing the strengths of Kings, but here we're seeing the weakness with the Karma, with the Sivir. If they manage to kite the way backwards and you don't get the buy engage onto you, you're going to struggle.
I agree with you. I think the main weakness of that fight was, unfortunately, Jinx was not there, right? If Jinx was there, if Jinx had the summoners, that Karma would have been absolutely blasted, and the reset would have been there, and the fight would have been won. But unfortunately, it wasn't like that. They took a bit too many steps forward, and they landed themselves into the mosh pit of Karma Sivir.
But I think an interesting thing is Jinx was clearing waves in mid lane, but Jinx started the fight, and after they get a kill, it was a bit of a communication blunder, I feel, more than a mechanical blunder.
Absolutely. But these plays are really... They happen, you know? This is a really... you know, these games are much more high pressure than solo queue, you know? And they're just bound to happen. Like Shiratama being a bit overexposed here, taking some damage, and Becky is going for the pick here. Able to land the kill on Lulu, which is huge. Derpy getting the Lulu ult, but Orianna being able to shockwave Chinese person.
Him away, that's so huge.
Able to just flash out, able to barely survive. chapter is not closed just yet for Kings, but it is looking bleak.
Exactly. It is important to note that Agilia and Nates were both taking low HP, so even though Kings were the team getting caught out, they were able to trade back. And I think this really shows that as they get into the late game, with both these teams loving late game and being high damage late game, they can get even more volatile than it already is.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing now is the blue side being able to invade the jungle, you know, which is really going to set Vi back. Whilst Vi's strengths was to play for the early, she still needs this farm to be able to get some more items and support. And Diana having more items, the merrier for her, right? Hitting that level 16 is going to be a really nice spike on her ult as well, maybe being able to land some one-shots. You know, we're seeing Kings defending the mid lane.
And one thing I want to mention is that before that fight at Baron, which Oxford won, Diana didn't actually have Rabadons, but now she does. So that's even. Oh, here we have a fight. They seem to be catching someone out.
They're looking for the catch. Derpy is getting bursted, and it's not Latres. He's absolutely
top
going
lane,
to
we have Legend chasing, but that's kind of a bait in the way they were already on the top side of the map, and Legend isn't going to die due to the evasion of Jackson's.
Oh, is this a bit of an overextend from Boynton here? Well, not necessarily, as he's able to get potentially fish bows. The Lulu kill was really nice. Agilia is just getting a little overextended. The turret is able to just kill her, and that is so big.
That's a bit of a miscommunication error. Agilia walks forward to potentially shield and bail Boynton out, but everyone else seemed to walk away.
That was such a good play from Oxford, and they just overextended a little too much. The shockwave going off, Chinese person takes a lot of damage, but Pickle is in more of a pickle, I'd say, and he's just barely able to survive thanks to the shield.
First game, but so good, but the most important game.
Oh, the snipe from Latres.
Shretama and the Lulu is not having as good of a game as the first game, but still doing quite well.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole point of Lulu is just to play for this Jinx, just to play for this Jax if the decision is right, and yeah, it's starting to look rough once again for Kings. They had the turnaround from the overextension, but you know, it's just back and forth.
I do think that is a good ray of hope where Chinese Pickle almost instantly killed Orianna, and we can see with the itemization, with the Rabadons, with the Medjais, with the Shadow Flame, this is a very high damage build. And Pickle doesn't have Rabadons yet. He cannot match the same amount of damage. They could do half HP, three quarters, but they can't do full HP just yet.
I think, personally, if Victor dies here, the game dies for Kings. So it is all to play for. It does not, thankfully for Kings, it does not mean Oxford are able to get the soul here, but it does mean both are on soul point.
It's going to be really big with both teams in soul point.
Absolutely. This is such a long game from both teams, you know, these are the biggest contenders of the game. You would think maybe this would go on a little faster as both teams would, you know, find a way to execute it, but both teams have just played really well in responding to bad situations, which have meant neither team has been able to snowball out of control, I'd say.
Yes. And here it's very interesting to say. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see for the next objective, which does seem to be Baron. But with Waves pushing in mid, Waves pushing in top and bottom, seems neither team has the advantage right now.
Absolutely. It's just going to be a bit of a lull state right now, as both teams are trying to re-strategize.
I do think
Oxford
it's
is
nice
trying
that
to...
Oxford is, I think you're about to say, therefore, but they're getting the push control, which is always good for Baron.
Absolutely. Oxford are in a dominant position right now.
They have a big push, top push.
Absolutely. Again, both teams are just batting on this 2k gold lead, you know. One side has 2k gold lead, the other has 2k gold lead. You know, it's still anyone's game. It just, at the moment, it's in the favour of Oxford, as they have so much setup. And we've seen before that Oxford really are really good at playing around bushes, right? At playing for those chokeholds and forcing the Orianna ults into the team of Kings. Yeah.
One thing I do think is important, if neither team decides to fight for this Baron, although it looks like they might presume them more pushing in the lane, this soul will be the deciding factor. Both teams utilize it so well, and with the in Final Dragons, this amount of going to do a lot of damage.
Absolutely, and it looks like they're getting a wraparound and a pick here as Diana's overexposed. If the jungler goes down here...
Look at the shield coming out. So,
Jugby missing the Q, but the bubble is huge.
The blast is so amazing, it knocks Diana out of her dash.
And there's the first kill on shot with Chinese person. Legend RX is taking a lot of damage, doesn't manage to leap over the wall. And Lutres is able to get such a nice sustain.
That's a 1-for-1, but it's stronger for top lane, and before Baron this looks very good for Kings. But that was such a close fight.
Able to get the mid-wave control once again, but it's responded quite nicely. The wave clear from both sides is actually really
One
nice.
thing I would like to say is I would like to see some lifesteal from either of these ADCs, because it keeps happening where they're both half HP and they're both forced out. I think the first ADC to get lifesteal has the advantage in these live duel fights.
All I'm saying is,
Bloodthirster.
yeah, Bloodthirster, no rapid fire. But
Bloodthirster.
that's all hindsight now. Kings have to play with the hand they've got, and what hand they do have right now is they have a really fed Victor, a really fed Jinx, nearly full items on both sides. So it's really going to start coming down to the final fights now.
I agree. I'm not a massive fan of the Morello Nomicon coming out of Diana. I think you'd be better off building Void Staff or any item like that. But Morello Nomicon Void Staff, it does not provide magic penetration, so maybe not the worst pick.
I don't think she's actually going to be building it either with the AP item she's followed it with. But we're seeing a lot of mid push regardless from Oxford here. So they really want to get some control in the mid lane before they make any objective plays. Derpy's just taking a bit of hope, but honestly it feels like a scratch, or not even a scratch.
Literally like graze, but I think it is important to note that Oxford does seem to have the vision control in the lane, and they are pushing them back, and the Dragon seems to be still. As we said, it's the most important objective so far.
Absolutely, and we're just, it's a ticking time bomb now. Which team is going to make the play first? Kings is getting pushed further and further back away from the Baron, as it's just giving Oxford the opportunity to get vision all over the map. But yeah, they're starting to group up now, as Test is getting the movement speed to roam.
And we have the Bloodthirster from Sivir, which I wanted to see, but we do not have that completed item from Jinx, which is huge right now.
Yeah, that could make all the difference here.
Legend looks about out of position and protection.
It does.
Oh!
Able to...
He was going to miss the hook shot, which is a bit risky, but it's a safe play.
Absolutely. Legend RX stepping up
I
here.
think it's important to note that Kings has moved to the Dragon first and Oxford is not, so maybe they could look to trade, but I think that could be a mistake.
Absolutely. The fact that both teams are able to siege, but Oxford have the high ground right now, is looking quite difficult for Kings.
And they're just going to run down mid lane. I love this from Oxford. Just get the turret, like, okay, you want to go straight? We'll just end.
Absolutely.
They're being zoned out of their own base. If Orianna just passes upward and just zones them out with the ball, this could be really big.
They're being a bit grouped up right now, a bit indecisive, but the triple stun is looking really good. Legend RX able to burst the Karma straight away. This is insane damage from Legend RX.
Really bad for Oxford.
Ooh, the damage on Derpy was quite significant, but not significant enough for Derpy to take the sole point of the game.
I would have loved to see Oxford just push that mid lane, just pull the bluff, push mid lane, go for the end. They might not see it coming, but now it looks like Kings is going to get the smoke and the Baron, which is really huge.
You can hear some screams of success from the room above, but we don't know who it's from. 3 minutes time, there is going to be a massive play, and I'm looking forward to seeing who it's going to be from. Some really massive damage from the tech. Oh, the pick on Derpy is immense, but that does mean Baron is taken. It's traded 1 for 1. Diana was caught out there. I don't know what she was doing.
She's doing so well early game, but it feels like we're having a few blunders left, right, and centre from this Diana right now.
Absolutely, and Legend RX is in a very good position again. Had a bit of a low state in the mid game, but this is looking very rough for Oxford now.
And as we said, this is the closest game of today, and it is also the most important. The winner of this game will have an interview with us after the game. We do not know who that is, but thankfully, we should hopefully all look forward to it soon.
Absolutely. And, it's starting to get late into the night, and both teams may be quite fatigued right now. But everyone's fatigued right now. But this is the final play of the game.
Goal. That's how close it is. It's insane.
Absolutely, it's neck and neck. The tug of war has never been more even as it is now. But the Baron and the Drake soul is just gonna be potentially the foot in the door to the next stage for Kings.
Either team. I also feel like when you get this late in the game, focus doesn't matter. It's all about Barons, Dragons, and Kings has the permanent advantage in that regard.
Absolutely. Legendary Rex getting a bit of side pressure in the bot lane. But, you know, it's all set up right now. What are they going for? What is Kings cooking with this Baron? Because right now I'm not seeing much action.
We do seem to be getting Elder and Baron both spawning in around 4 minutes. So both teams could just be looking to just let's say they've got Sivir, they've got Jinx, both teams have the ability to just clear back and forth.
Absolutely. I mean, where are the plays with this Baron? We're starting to see something forming in the mid wave, but everyone's kind of like walking down here, going into the jungle a little.
I would say that I think Veggie for Gank has teleport, but Legend does not. So I would like to see, well actually Legend does as well. I would like to see some switching.
We're seeing Legendary X going for the ult here. The hook shot trying to get away, but Legendary X is going fully in. Not all the way, unfortunately, as the turret is able to peel for Camille. But is it enough? We're seeing a response here.
It's a bit risky because Camille seems to dash in with the hook shot, which I think is questionable in a matchup.
I mean, she's playing very nicely around the turret pressure, and Legendary X is still looking with the Baron.
Protecting the Baron minion, and
Latrez is here.
And Latrez is just gonna.
Oh, and he go. Oh, Legendary X just goes down, but there go. Chinese person gets a kill on Karma. This is the dive that we've been looking for. The turret goes down. The resets for Jinx are immense. Pickle is in a pickle right now. Orianna shockwave, but Chinese person gets the triple kill. Quadra kill of the game. Can he get a Penta? He's 1 kill away from the Penta. They're resurrecting. Come on, the team must be setting up for this. Penta kill for Chinese person.
I feel this really defines how the game is going for this team this entire time.
And it without a doubt, Kings have proven themselves to be worthy for making it to the next stage of the tournament.
And they will be in Group 2 with Imperial Sarasa and University of Esports.
Absolutely.
That is the name, right? College of
Esports, yes.
Very sorry.
No worries, I'm
sorry.
confused as well. But
we'll have a quick break and then we'll have an interview with the King's support player, Shiritazu.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.